Hello, welcome to this video for applicants to the Farming Transformation Fund Slurry Infrastructure Grant Round 2. This is for applicants who have completed the online checker and have been invited to submit a full application. We will talk you through how to prepare the slurry store location and design assessment form, including what information you need and extra help and tips. What is the Slurry Infrastructure Grant? It is a capital grant to help eligible farmers replace, build new, or expand existing slurry stores to reach the grant storage requirements based on existing livestock numbers. This will help you to make better use of organic nutrients, improve water quality, improve air quality, and reduce the contribution to greenhouse gases. The grant storage requirements are 6 months for beef and dairy cattle, and 8 months for pigs. Who can apply? The grant is available to pig, beef and dairy farmers in England that are already using a farming system that produces slurry. Both landowners and tenant farmers can apply. How much can I claim for? The minimum grant you can claim for is £25,000 and the maximum is £250,000. Grant amounts for the Slurry Infrastructure Grant will be based on the reference cost contribution, or 50% of the total invoice costs at claim stage, whichever is the lower amount. Grants will still be capped at £250,000, and you must apply for a grant of at least £25,000. What can I apply for? You can choose from different types of slurry stores, store covers, and store accessories. For example, a reception pit or an electric-powered slurry transfer pump. Details of what you can apply for can be found in the About the Slurry Infrastructure Grant Round 2, Who can apply and what it can pay for guidance on gov.uk. You must use the grant to reach at least 8 months storage for pigs or 6 months for beef and dairy cattle, based on existing livestock numbers. Existing livestock numbers means the typical number of animals you kept on the farm over the last year. You can do this by choosing to replace existing stores that are no longer fit for purpose with a new store, that is, they have reached the end of their design life and could be susceptible to leaks and failure. Add additional storage if other stores that will stay part of your system meet slurry storage regulations, were built to relevant standards and remain fit for purpose, for example, no leaks or failures. Expand or cover otherwise compliant storage, for example, by adding another ring to a suitable steel tank. The existing store must be structurally suitable for expanding and covering and will meet the specifications, including current regulations and build standards, when complete. You are not eligible for this grant if you have slurry storage that is fit for purpose and meets the storage requirements. You can choose to go beyond the required storage period, but you must self-fund any storage above this. There are 2 main parts you must complete when making a full application. 1. Complete and return the slurry store location and design assessment form, along with any required supporting evidence. 2. Prepare and submit a full application form and the application appendix spreadsheet, along with any required supporting evidence. When we invited you to submit a full application for Part 1, we sent you the slurry store location and design assessment form. The following documents for Part 2 will be sent to you in due course: a full application form, an application appendix, the design declaration for slurry storage form. Make sure you have sufficient time to complete everything you need to before sending in your slurry store location and design assessment form, including gathering any supporting information you need to send. You will need to provide details about your project so it can be assessed to ensure it meets regulatory requirements and meets grant storage requirements. The deadline for submitting your slurry store location and design assessment form is 11:59 p.m. on 30th of September 2024. If the Environment Agency confirms that their location and design assessment is satisfactory, you will be asked to submit your full application. The deadline for submitting a full application is 11:59 p.m. on the 27th of June 2025. Planning permission must be in place before you submit your full application. If not, your application will be rejected. If your application is successful, we will send you a grant funding agreement. We aim to tell you if your application is successful or not within 60 working days of receiving it. Do not start work on your project, incur any costs, including paying deposits, enter into any legal contracts, or place any orders before a grant funding agreement has been sent to you and you have signed and returned it. This would make your application ineligible. You can undertake some activities prior to making the full application. For example, apply for planning permission, which must be in place before you submit a full application. Talk to consultants to discuss the design of the proposed store. Take soil samples to check the soil and site suitability if constructing an earth-banked lagoon without a synthetic liner. Get quotes from suppliers. Confirm with a suitably qualified chartered civil or structural engineer or a supplier that an existing store is suitable to be expanded and or have a cover fitted. We are likely to visit all projects at least once, so you need to keep your records, evidence and maintain an asset register for 5 years from the final grant payment. We'll also ask you to submit project monitoring reports. Catchment Sensitive Farming CSF Advisors. Natural England CSF advisors are available for advice and guidance on slurry and nutrient management, which may be useful when planning your full application. They work with farmers and partners in catchments across England to improve the quality of air, water, and natural flood management. Their advice is optional and not a condition for securing the grant. Your CSF advisor is locally based with an understanding of the challenges that farmers face. They offer locally informed on-farm slurry management advice to help you improve nutrient use, reduce environmental impacts, and make more confident decisions about slurry management on your farm. More information about catchment-sensitive farming is available on gov.uk. The Slurry Infrastructure Grant is one step in preventing the deterioration of natural habitats and the habitats of species in protected sites. You must obtain planning permission for your project before making a full application. You may be able to get approval under permitted development rights through prior notification. Speak to your local planning authority if you are unsure. Your planning permission must match your slurry store location and design assessment, which was approved by the Environment Agency. Local planning authorities, LPAs, must assess whether giving planning consent could have a significant effect on a protected site, such as special areas of conservation, special protection areas, or Ramsar sites. A Ramsar site is a wetland site designated to be of international importance. Local planning authorities must carry out an assessment of whether a project will have a significant effect on a protected site, and if so, an appropriate assessment must follow, which tests in detail the potential harm and steps to mitigate it. It can take several months to obtain planning permission, so it is important that you submit your planning application as soon as possible. You do not need to apply for planning permission before you submit your slurry store location and design assessment form, but it must be in place before you make your full application. We will now provide more information on what the store location and design assessment is and what you need to do. Anyone who applies for the Slurry Infrastructure Grant and is invited to make a full application needs to have their planned project assessed to ensure it meets the relevant regulations and will meet the grant storage requirements. So that the assessment can be carried out, you must fill in the slurry store location and design assessment form, read and complete the declaration section, and supply any required supporting evidence as soon as possible. You should email these documents to ftf@rpa.gov.uk. Under the Water Resources, Control of Pollution, Silage, Slurry and Agricultural Fuel Oil, England, SSAFO Regulations 2010, A person who proposes to have custody or control of slurry that is to be kept in a new or improved store must give the Environment Agency notice specifying the type of storage system and its location at least 14 days before work constructing the store is to begin. If you have been invited by the RPA to submit a full application for this grant, submission of this form and supporting information is sufficient to meet these notice requirements. So there is no need to inform the Environment Agency separately. We recommend that you fill in and send the form as soon as possible after receiving your invitation to allow sufficient time for the assessment to be carried out and approved before you can submit your full application. We will carry out some basic checks to ensure that the form is fully completed and any relevant supporting evidence has been provided. We will then share the form and supporting evidence with the Environment Agency's Slurry Infrastructure National Assurance Team, who will carry out the assessment. At section 1 of the form, you will need to provide information and answer questions about yourself, your business, and the type of farmer you are, your agent if you are using one, environmental permit issued by the Environment Agency, if applicable, the status of your planning permission for new, expanded, or additional stores, how many existing stores and reception pits you have, slurry acidification process if you acidify the slurry you produce, using a separator if you use one as part of your system. At sections 2 to 9 of the form, you will need to provide information and answer questions about the size, location, and condition of any existing stores and reception pits that will form part of your required storage capacity, whether any existing stores or reception pits will be taken out of service, the size, location, and type of new stores and reception pits, the suitability of an existing store to be expanded and/or have a cover fitted, the type of cover you will fit to the slurry store, whether the slurry store, channels, or reception pits are within 10 metres of inland fresh waters or coastal waters, including those that are seasonally dry. There are regulations requiring slurry storage facilities to be at least 10 metres from inland fresh waters and coastal waters. Whether the slurry will be stored within 50 metres of any springs, wells, or boreholes. There are regulations requiring stored slurry to be at least 50 metres from springs, wells, or boreholes. Whether the store or reception pit is in a groundwater source protection zone. Groundwater source protection zones are designated around significant public water abstraction points. The risks to these groundwater supplies are increased if large quantities of slurry are stored. Slurry stores in SPZs may require additional safeguards to protect the public water supply from contamination. For multiple stores and reception pits, you can provide details of these in the annexes at the back of the form. You can provide details of up to 3 additional stores or reception pits of each type. If you have or will have more than 4 of a store or reception pit type in total, please contact us and we can advise you how to provide this information. At sections 10 and 11 of the form, you will need to provide information and answer questions about the types, ages, and numbers of your animals. This information is used to calculate the total amount of excreta from the stock that you keep. If you intend to purchase a separator, if part or all of the farm buildings from which your slurry comes are within a nitrate vulnerable zone, NVZ, the period you will use for your storage calculations, the capacity required for your chosen period, the total storage capacity you will have when the grant-funded work is completed. At section 12 of the form, you will check what supporting documents are required and indicate if they have been included, such as annotated to scale site plans showing what the site will look like once work is completed, including the location of all the existing and proposed infrastructure, for example, slurry store, areas that drain to the slurry store, reception pits, roofed buildings, yard areas, silage clamps, springs, wells, or boreholes. They should be annotated with unique names or identifiers for each structure and store, dimensions, purpose of any buildings, yard areas or structures, surface types, areas where livestock have access. More information about what you should annotate on the maps can be found in the How to Fill in a Slurry Infrastructure Grant Round 2 Slurry Store Location and Design Assessment Form guidance on gov.uk and in the Slurry Infrastructure Site Plan guidance that was included in your invitation to submit a full application email. Design specifications of the intended structures. Location maps of any springs, wells, or boreholes within your farm holding. Photos or videos of any existing slurry storage systems and reception pits. These should cover the entire storage system, including reception pits and channels, from all angles, and show clear images of all sides, corners, joins, and surfaces. You must reference each photo with the store name or identifier as used on any location or farmyard maps and the Slurry Wizard, the date the photo or video was taken, and a short description of what it shows, for example, load-bearing walls, side walls, etc. A copy of your completed Slurry Wizard output. You should save and send the Excel output file that is produced once you have completed the Slurry Wizard. Written confirmation from a qualified civil or structural engineer if expanding an existing store or retrofitting a cover. Soil suitability testing if constructing an earth-banked lagoon without a liner. If you intend to build an earth-banked lagoon without a synthetic liner, then you must provide soil analysis to prove that the soil is suitable and able to achieve the required permeability. For large volume slurry bags, you will need to provide details of the intended supporting earthworks or bund. Details of secondary containment if using large volume slurry bags. You will have received a copy of the site plan guidance in your invitation to submit a full application email. There is also an accompanying video presentation called How to Prepare a Site Plan. It is recommended that you read the guidance and watch the video when completing your site plans. This image shows a good example of a site plan which has been clearly annotated with all the required information, such as proposed new infrastructure placement and measurements, all the features of the farmyard clearly labelled, the direction of flow and destination of slurry, and an indication of where the roof water ends up. It is important to indicate if the roof water goes to the slurry store or not. Submitting a detailed site plan with all the details shown in the guidance will help to speed up the assessment process. Poor quality site plans lacking detail, dimensions, and clear labelling slow down the assessment process. This is the most common reason we need to go back to applicants with requests for further information and revised site plans with all the missing detail. Any photos you submit need to cover the entire storage system, including reception pits, from all angles, and show clear images of all sides, corners, joins, and surfaces. You must reference each photo with the store name or identifier as used in your site plans and the Slurry Wizard, the date the photo or video was taken, and a short description of what it shows, for example, load-bearing walls, side walls, etc. If you prefer, you can submit videos of your existing slurry storage system instead of photos. We can only accept videos up to 20 megabytes in size, so you may need to record more than one video to ensure the size limit is not exceeded. You may need to send any photos or videos on several emails because we can only accept emails up to 32 megabytes in size. If you need to do this, you should make it clear in the email title. For example, My Slurry Store Video 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and 3 of 3. Photos or videos must be sent as actual attachments to an email and not links to a data sharing site. We're now going to show you a couple of examples of suitable photos of existing slurry stores, annotated with all the information required. This photo is clearly marked as Photo 1, with a suitable name identifier, Weeping Wall Store 1. It includes the date the photo was taken and a description of what the photo shows. That is, this photo shows the side of our current Weeping Wall store, which is frequently prone to overtopping while the cows are still housed. Our slurry storage capabilities on farm are limited, hence the reason for applying for a new slurry storage system to enable 6 months storage capability. This second photo is again clearly marked as Photo 2, with the name identifier and date taken, and includes the description. This photo shows the slurry reception pit we currently use on farm. This will need to be replaced with a new reception pit as part of the project. The reception pit needs replacing as it was built when we milked 120 cows and we now milk 240 cows, so it needs pumping more often. It was also built 30 years ago, so it has exceeded its planned working lifespan and is therefore no longer fit for purpose. The Agriculture and Horticulture Development Board, AHDB, Slurry Wizard, is an Excel spreadsheet tool that you should use to calculate the cumulative volume of slurry that your farm produces, calculate your current slurry storage capacity, and calculate the additional slurry storage capacity you need to achieve 6 months storage. You can download the Slurry Wizard at the AHDB website. A Slurry Wizard user guide is also available on AHDB's website at the web address shown. You should complete it with basic information about your livestock numbers, roof and yard areas, housing periods, and the dimensions of any existing stores that will be retained as part of your planned storage. The Slurry Wizard automatically inputs the rainfall based on your location. If you want to use other rainfall figures, you can, but you will need to provide supporting evidence of the accuracy and validity of the values. It is very important that you provide accurate measurements because these are used to calculate your slurry production figures. You can work out your required storage capacity from the Slurry Wizard by looking at the Slurry Report tab on Slurry Wizard Output. You will need to look at your cumulative slurry production figures over your chosen period. You can build more storage than this, but it would not be eligible for grant funding. You must submit the Slurry Wizard as a PDF document. There is an option in Slurry Wizard to save the file as a PDF for this purpose. RPA or the Environment Agency may contact you to discuss any changes that might be required to your project to make sure your final project protects the environment and meets regulations. Should there be an issue with the information provided, for example, your slurry production figures, the appropriateness of the choice of proposed store type, or the design and location of your proposed store, you may be asked to submit a new form and/or supporting evidence. This will allow the Environment Agency to carry out an assessment of your updated proposals. However, if the assessment was unsuccessful a second time, we would withdraw your invitation to submit a full application. This would not prevent you applying under any future rounds. Once the Environment Agency has concluded their assessment, they will inform RPA of the outcome, and RPA will then notify you. If the outcome is satisfactory, then you will be asked to complete the next part of the full application process. Make sure that you are registered on the RPA's Rural Payments Service and that your information is up to date and correct. You will need to enter your Single Business Identifier SBI number on the form. You must also have the required permissions on rural payments to make and submit the form. The details on rural payments must match exactly with the information in your form. Answer all the questions and complete the form as fully as you can, telling us about your business and your project. Use the guidance to help you. Get someone not connected with the project to read the form to help to make sure you have explained things clearly. When you are ready to submit your form, send your Slurry store location and design assessment form and all required supporting documents to us as email attachments to ftf@rpa.gov.uk. If you have to send more than one email, make sure they are numbered, for example, email 1 of 3. Refer to the How to Fill in a Slurry Infrastructure Grant Round 2 Slurry Store Location and Design Assessment Form guidance for more information about how to fill in and submit your form. The following guidance is available on gov.uk. How to fill in a Slurry Infrastructure Grant Round 2 Slurry Store Location and Design Assessment Form. How to fill in a Slurry Infrastructure Grant Round 2 Full Application. About the Slurry Infrastructure Grant Round 2, who can apply and what it can pay for. Plan your slurry storage, what you need to know. Check how applications will be prioritised in Round 2. Item specification and grant contribution. If you have any queries when completing the Slurry Store Location and Design Assessment form, please email us at ftf@rpa.gov.uk or you can call us on 03000 200 301. That's 03000 200 301. We have covered a lot of detailed information. Please remember that everything we have said is in the About the Slurry Infrastructure Grant Round 2, who can apply and what it can pay for, and the Slurry Infrastructure Grant Round 2 Slurry Store Location and Design Assessment Form guidance. Both documents are available on gov.uk. Thank you for watching, and we hope this will help you with your Farming Transformation Fund Slurry Infrastructure Grant application.